Thank you, Bukeka. Hello, everybody. Good morning to you. Good morning to our virtual audience out there. Hey, once in a while, I just like to move around to keep our cameraman on his toes. So, how is everybody? Gosh, isn't it hard to believe that August is right around the corner this week, August 1st? And then, hey, when did you get back in town? Oh, good. Good to see you, Scott. Yeah. Excuse me. Anyway, the summer is going, and this morning I'm going to talk about heaven. And it's a very interesting subject because it has kind of been gnarled a bit through the ages, and it's got myth to it, and it's got legend, and it's got tall tales, and it's got outright lies about this whole thing that we call heaven. Originally, historically, heaven was a place where God lived with the angels. It was God's abode. It was never meant to be a place where people went after they died. People had no expectation of that. And they simply, when they died, went to the family burial plot, and their bones were put together with other people's bones from their family. So heaven was just something that was out there where God and the angels were looking down on all creation. It wasn't available to human beings. They said it was an abode for God and angels. But then, thousands of years later, when religion started to get a bit organized, a very big difference was made. And that difference is that heaven is an abode for God and the angels and good people when they die. That last line, and good people when they die, I don't know who added that, but it opened up this whole Pandora's box about what constitutes good. And usually, the religious leaders are the ones that lay down the dictates, the doctrines, the dogma that says if you do this, you are good, and if you are good, you'll go to heaven. So it's like mortal man was determining who was getting into heaven and who wasn't. And if that wasn't enough, there had to be an alternative. Well, if I don't get into heaven, if I'm not quite good enough, then where do I go? And it was, well, you go to hell. And it was this wonderful machination of two different concepts that was used as a tool of intimidation and fear over people. Do what either religious leader says, and you will get to heaven. If you don't do what I say, you won't. You're going to go to hell. And I love this picture in the front of the bulletin. For those of you who don't have a bulletin or can't see it, it shows this beautiful sunrise in the sky, and there's a white arc, and either Jesus or God is standing in the middle of this arch. There's a legion of angels on both sides of Jesus as he's looking down at humanity. And humanity, evidently these are the people that weren't so good. Humanity is being dragged away by something that looks like a devil and also a jackal. The devil was oftentimes portrayed as a jackal. So you have these people that weren't saved because they weren't good enough being taken away to hell, and Jesus and the legion of angels, or God, is standing over watching. Now, I find that to be pretty poignant. And most of us that grew up in fundamental or traditional churches, we took that as being literal. That if we weren't good, if we didn't do what somebody told us to do, that we were going to go to hell. And then it even evolved further where many religions began to step out and say that they had the exclusive franchise on heaven. That you had to be this if you're going to get in heaven, and if you were that, you weren't going to go, no matter how good you were. Good was dropped from the picture. Now it was, you have to belong to a certain religion. There's a story about a Jewish man that went to heaven. St. Peter met him, and he said, you have to tell me what religion you are before I can let you in. He says, I'm a Jew. St. Peter says, that's fine, come in. Go down the hall to room 24, but that's where all the Jews are, but be very quiet when you go by room number 8. And the person behind the Jew was a Catholic woman. St. Peter says, what religion did you belong to? She said, I was a Catholic. He says, that is great. Come on in and go down the hall to room number 19, but be very, very quiet when you pass room number 8. The third person in line was a Buddhist. And St. Peter asked him what religion he was. He says, I'm a Buddhist. He says, that's great. And go down to room 31, but be very, very quiet when you pass room number 8. And finally, the Buddha spoke up. He said, I've heard you say this 3 times now. Why do we have to be so quiet when we pass room number 8? And St. Peter says, because that's where the Baptists are. And they think they're the only ones here. Yeah. And none of them are going to go to heaven because they haven't laid down their life to Jesus Christ. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I don't think that is a criteria for getting into heaven, that you have to be a Christian. I mean, if you have to be a Christian to get into heaven, then Jesus isn't there. Just think about that for a minute. Am I on? You don't know? Okay. I think this is cutting out a little bit. If it is, just... what did George Bush say? Read my lips? Yeah. Anyway, so we have this fabrication of heaven that was built by the religions, that was held over people as a means of intimidation and fear, and if you weren't good, then you went to hell. Well, what is heaven anyway? Somebody said heaven is what we have invented or we have imagined, and it has everything that we feel is lacking in our life here. Well, what would that be? There was a woman on the news program earlier this week who claimed that she went to heaven. Her name was Dr. Mary Neal. She is a doctor, a spine surgeon, outdoors woman, married, has children, not particularly religious. She said she's more of a skeptic. She was kayaking on a river in South America. Her kayak turned upside down and pinned her in. The rapids took her down, twisting her body and breaking her bones. She is unable to escape. She went underwater, and she drowned. She said the minute she felt the life leaving her body, it was like something peeling off of her, and she raised up above the waters. She was able to see her dead body floating down the river. She was able to see the rescuers pulling her to the shore. She was able to see them doing CPR on her, and she was able to see them pronounce her dead. She said she was guided down a path where she ended up in a place that she described as heaven. And she said it was so glorious, it was so wonderful, so serene, so blissful, that she couldn't want anything more than being there. But she was told she had to go back because her work wasn't finished. She denied it. She said, I don't want to go back. I want to stay right here. I miss my loved ones, but I want to stay here. It's, I'm sorry you can't. You have to go back. You have a message that you have to take back to console people. And also, your 8-year-old son is going to die an early death. So reluctantly, she went back. She began this long process of recovery in the hospital for many, many months. One day while she was in the hospital, she opened up the bedstand drawer, and there was a Bible. She was thinking about, what is this message that I'm supposed to come back and convey? She just haphazardly opened the Bible. It was on the 5th chapter of Thessalonians. Her eyes fell to verses 16, 17, and 18. And chapter 16 was, be glad that you're alive. Have a sense of joy about your being. Have this real sense of fulfillment all the time that you're alive right here on this earth. No matter what's going on in your life, just have this gladness of being. Verse 17 said, pray without ceasing. Now, pray without ceasing is a biblical term, and it doesn't mean down on your hands and knees with your hands scrunched together and your eyes squeezed shut, praying continually, but rather it means your life becomes your prayer. And that in every waking moment, you're looking around you and you're wishing other people well, you're wishing them happiness, you're wishing them free of all suffering. It's not a continual thing, but whatever grabs your attention, if you see somebody that seems to be in stress, you simply say, I wish them free of all suffering. That is prayer without ceasing. Prayer becomes your life. And the third thing is be grateful. Never lose sight of your blessings. Be full of gratitude and express that gratitude as you go about your everyday life. And she said when she read that, she knew that was her message because that's exactly the way she felt when she was in heaven. And she felt that she was glad to exist. She said that she prayed for her loved ones and that they would be quickly move through their suffering and their misery. And she said she had gratitude for everything that had taken place in her life and gratitude for her just being there right then and there. So if you stop and think about it, is that what heaven is? Is that what it was for Mary Neal? It's be glad that you're alive or be glad that you exist, pray without ceasing, and give gratitude for all the good things in your life. If that is heaven, then what prevents us from experiencing heaven right here and right now? Those things aren't impossible. As a matter of fact, all the great spiritual masters talked about heaven as being a state of mind. It's being a perspective that we can shine on our ordinary lives that gives us a heavenly state of existence. In Buddhism, they call it nirvana, and they say it's when your thoughts find everything worthy of a loving caress. Think about that for a moment. As you're going through about your everyday life, your thoughts find everything worthy of a loving caress. The Zoroastrians call it paradise, where the loveliest becomes lovelier. And that realm of consciousness is within us. No matter what we look at, no matter what beauty we behold, if we look further, if we look deeper, we can always increase that beauty to so many other dimensions. And then there's gratitude. There's not a single place that you go or a single place where you can be where you can't turn some direction and find something that blesses your life, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. Blessings abound, but what happens is like a single cavity in a tooth, we get so focused on the pain and the one little part of it that's not well that the rest of the body suffers as well. When you're feeling like you have a disturbance in your life or some difficulty or a horror, a tragedy or whatever, if you are there, that is one part of your life, but the rest of your life is an abundance of blessings. Jesus called it the kingdom of heaven. And he continually reiterated the kingdom of heaven isn't some place that you go. And it's not going to come standing here waiting for it. I can't tell you to go north or south or east or west to find heaven because it's everywhere. It's just that people aren't tuned into it. They just don't see it. But the consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, is within us. It's a realm of consciousness within us that each and every one of us has access to. Now, this isn't a religious concept. It's more of a spiritual concept that we have this vast realm of consciousness within us. This realm of consciousness has different dimensions for us. And where we're at, whatever we are doing at any given time, we can choose a way to perceive what is going on. We can choose a way to relate to somebody else that we're in conversation with. We have these different dimensions, and we can continually move upward to the point where we actually experience heaven on earth. So I want you to think about that as we go into meditation and know that we're all good people. We were born good. We have a good life. We live in a good world. And there's absolutely no doubt. And I'm a believer on this. So help me God, I'm a strong believer. There is no doubt that when we leave this earthly world, that we're going to go to some place called hell and experience torturous pain for eternity. That's not going to happen. I strongly believe that when we leave this planet, we go to some place, another dimension, that is heavenly, as I've just described, where all of our pains and all of our agonies and all of our miseries and all of our problems and all of our challenges are gone because we've raised above them and we see existence more for what it is. It is a heavenly experience. So when you go into meditation, think if there's anything in your life that's a little bit upsetting, anything that is grating on you, anything that you need to give up or forgive or forget, you just pull that up and know and that you have within you a level of consciousness that can graduate, mature that particular situation to something that is compatible with you and your wants, and also something you can embrace as a part of your life. We'll now move into meditation. Take a deep breath. Hold it for a moment, slowly exhale. And take another deep breath, and this time as you exhale, feel your entire body becoming relaxed, your mind becoming at ease, and a sense of well-being that falls over your entire body. If heaven could be put in a single word, it would be love. And drawing on 1 Thessalonians, love life, love your life. Find great joy in it, even during the difficult times. Know that you are honored, you are privileged, you are respected as a unique and individual soul. If you love life, love others to the point where you're always aware of the difficulties they're facing, and you wish them happiness, you wish them well, you wish them free of all suffering. Love all the blessings in your life. Love to the point where you're in a constant state of gratitude. Always being aware of what's around you. Always being thankful for its presence. Slowly begin to come back to this time, this place. And do so as you please. No hurry, there's no rush. Allow yourself to be cradled in this serene moment. You go forth with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. So it is.
When it looked like the sun wasn't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the sky. When it